Secret millionaire chauffeur surprises wife. What she discovered will change everything forever. Jake sat in the driver's seat of his luxury sedan, the sun gleaming off the polished hood. He'd always been good at this, driving wealthy clients around, keeping a low profile while they spoke of extravagant vacations and lavish homes. But today, tension hung in the air like smoke. The world felt different. The local news hummed about an economic downturn, forewarning of job losses and tightened budgets. "Not us," he whispered under his breath, fighting off the knot in his stomach. At home, his wife Sarah rode the wave of life's simplest joys. She prepared dinner with their children, laughter rolling like music through their cozy Ohio home. They shared so much, a kitchen filled with the scent of roasted chicken, the sound of happy children as they discussed school events. Jake cherished these evenings spent nesting together, the heart of a home he'd built brick by brick. But as he walked through the front door, smiles turned to silence. "Dad, why don't you have blueberries in your pancakes like Billy?" his youngest asked, oblivious to the growing tension. The weight of his secrets felt heavier tonight. How could he explain that he didn't need to scrimp? A lump rose in his throat, pride suffocated him. Days later, accusations rained down from a wealthy client. Incompetent. The word shattered Jake's confidence, flooding back memories of sleepless nights, the sacrifices he made to build a stable life. Each day, he'd pinched every penny to ensure Sarah and the kids never had to worry about money. Now, the bitterness of those insults was a bitter pill to swallow. He needed to prove himself but felt the walls closing in, weighed down by his inability to share the truth with Sarah. As Jake grew more withdrawn, Sarah's heart filled with unease. "What's wrong with you?" she pressed one evening. "You've been different lately. Distant. Defensive." He shrugged it off. Not sharing his secret felt like the greatest act of love, but she read deceit in his silence. Amidst escalating misunderstandings, panic gripped Sarah. She began to suspect that perhaps he was hiding something grander. What could he possibly be concealing? It gnawed at her, stealing away the love-filled atmosphere of their home, until one fateful night, she stumbled across bank statements while cleaning. The numbers blinked at her like beacons beyond imagination. A hidden fortune. A rush of emotions flooded through Sarah. She felt betrayed, but almost instantly, a swell of understanding washed over her. Jake had hidden this to keep the family together during turbulent times, to shield them from worries. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The neighborhood fundraiser for struggling families was coming up, a chance for redemption. As Jake hesitated, heart pounding, would he reveal his truth now? Sarah's fears, once seeds of doubt, began blossoming into a resolve to understand. Their facade of an idyllic American dream teetered on the brink of collapse, yet the essence of community lingered in the air, whispering promises of hope. Would honesty heal the wounds? And could love triumph once the truth came pouring out? Much hung in the balance, emotions raw as the looming event made Jake's heart race, while confusion clouded Sarah's mind. As the evening drew closer, Jake knew they were on the edge of a revelation. What would it take to mend their fraying tapestry woven from love, understanding, and secrets? Jake stared out the window as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. It was beautiful and serene, yet it filled him with dread. Just hours away lay the fundraiser, and with it, the moment he had to confront everything, the truth he had kept hidden for far too long. A chill ran down his spine as he thought about Sarah. Would she understand? In the kitchen, Sarah busily arranged a platter of homemade cookies. As she worked, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The bank statements swirled in her mind like a tempest. Even in moments of laughter with the kids, her heart felt heavy. What was Jake really doing? "Sarah, can you help me with these?" said their eldest, tossing a soccer ball into the air. For a fleeting second, the joy of her children drew her back into the comforting routine of family life. She caught the ball and tossed it back, forcing a smile. But deep down, she knew something was fundamentally changing. The community fundraiser was meant to bring everyone together, to support struggling families. Yet, there was a shadow over her own family. What was Jake planning? As the evening approached, Sarah set the table with care, each plate a reminder of how they had built this life together. She paced around, memories flooding in from the past when they first met, young and carefree. Jake had dreams that sparkled in his eyes. She couldn't believe he was hiding something from her. The thought made her heart ache. Jake, on the other hand, was preparing his own heart for a different kind of confrontation. The car was parked outside, gleaming under the faint light of the street lamps. He took a deep breath, his fingers brushing against the smooth leather of the steering wheel. The same hands that cradled his children now trembled at the thought of revealing everything. Could he really stand before Sarah and expose his entire life, the wealth, the lies, the overwhelming guilt? When the clock struck 6, the doorbell rang. Jake's heart raced. Friends and neighbors began to trickle in, chatting and laughing, blissfully unaware of the turmoil swirling within his home. As guests entered, he forced himself to smile, greeting them as they complimented the wonderful spread Sarah had prepared. "Jake, you look so serious. Lighten up," a neighbor joked. Jake laughed, but it felt hollow. It was the same laughter he wore like a mask over the truth that burdened him. As people settled in, a familiar face entered the room: Mark, his wealthy client and occasional mentor. A warm smile lit Mark's face, but it faded as their eyes met. Mark could sense the change. "Hey, you good? You seem distracted," he said, leaning closer. Jake shook his head, feeling exposed under the weight of Mark's gaze. "Just thinking about the evening, I guess." "Don't overthink it. Just be yourself," Mark advised, oblivious to the storm brewing under the surface of Jake's life. As the night wore on, laughter and music filled the air, yet Jake's heart raced faster than ever. When would be the right moment to share his secret? As he glanced at Sarah, clustering with friends, her eyes sparkled with hope and uncertainty. Finally, it was time for the opening remarks. Jake felt the tension clamp down. The moment had arrived. Would he step into the spotlight and lay bare the truth, or would he let Sarah continue believing the facade? As he approached the microphone, sweat trickled down his back. Silence enveloped the room, and all eyes turned towards him. Everyone, I need to share something important." His voice quivered, and the energy shifted. Sarah's smile faltered, the crowd sensed the gravity. Jake knew it was now or never. What would he unleash? The tension was palpable, and what hung in the balance was no longer about wealth or secrets but about love and the strength to face the truth. What would he say next? Would Sarah accept him, or would this truth shatter everything? Jake cleared his throat, the nervousness swirling in his stomach. Every heartbeat echoed like a drum in his ears. He scanned the room, searching for Sarah's face in the crowd. She looked hopeful, eager for what he might say, but there was also a flicker of confusion starting to creep in. He began again, his voice barely above a whisper. "I know tonight is supposed to be about celebrating our community." His words hung in the air, and a small murmur rippled through the audience. "Just spit it out, Jay," someone shouted, trying to lighten the mood. Laughter bounced around the room, but it only heightened his anxiety. He was grateful for the distraction but worried it would steal his moment. He ran a hand through his hair, feeling the sweat on his brow. "But that's not what I need to talk about." The way everyone shifted in their seats signaled that he had their complete attention. In that moment, the walls of his carefully constructed world came tumbling down. "I've been keeping something from all of you." He inhaled deeply, picturing the life he had built with Sarah, the kids, the dreams. "I'm not the man you think I am." Gasps filled the room. Sarah froze, her hands gripping the edge of the table as her mind raced to comprehend his words. The laughter faded, replaced by an electric tension that could be felt by everyone. I've been driving a car that's more than just a means of transportation. I've been a chauffeur," he admitted, fighting to keep his voice steady. "Not just any chauffeur, a private driver for some very wealthy clients." A wave of murmuring broke out among the guests. Jake's heart sank as he caught sight of Sarah's wide eyes. She looked shocked, hurt even, as if her heart were being squeezed by an unseen hand. "You've got to be kidding me, Jake. Why wouldn't you just tell me?" She whispered harshly, yet her voice trembled. The weight of her disappointment pierced him like a knife. "I didn't want you to think differently of me," he replied, his voice cracking. "I didn't want to ruin what we have. But it's more than that. The money, it's not just a little extra cash. It's a lot. A lot more than what our lives reflect." The crowd fell silent, their expressions a blend of confusion and judgment. He went on, "I am terrified of what it all means. Terrified that this truth will rewrite everything we built together. But I can't hide from it anymore." Sarah stepped back, processing his words. "You let me think we were working through our finances when you had a fortune?" Her voice trembled, anger and sorrow intertwined. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I thought it was best to protect you from this," Jake pleaded, tears stinging his eyes. "I loved you too much to let it change how you see me or us." Time stood still as silence engulfed the room again. All eyes were on Sarah, waiting for her response. She swallowed hard, her expression shifting from shock to something deeper, betrayal mixed with confusion. "You think this is about the money?" She shook her head. "You don't understand how this feels." Behind her, Jake could see friends whispering, compassion and disbelief intertwining in their faces. No one knew how to react. The very fabric of his reality was unraveling right in front of him. As the seconds stretched on like hours, Jake felt vulnerable, stripped of the protection he thought he'd have. He reached out, hoping to close the distance, but Sarah instinctively stepped back. "Jake, I need time to think," she finally said, her voice cracking. The finality of her words left him cold. The laughter, the support, the community he had fought for, they all felt like ghosts now. With that one statement, everything hung in the balance, teetering on the edge of loss. The moment felt heavy with unspoken questions. Could he hold on to the love he cherished, or was this the end of everything? As Sarah turned away, his heart sank, and the room filled with anxious chatter. What would happen now? Would this revelation break their bond completely or forge something unexpected? Disoriented, Jake took a deep breath, bracing himself for the storm ahead. He could sense it in the air, the same dread he felt before, now amplified by uncertainty. What choices lay before them, and how could he make things right again? Jake stood there, the weight of his confession hanging in the air like a lead balloon. He could feel the stunned silence of the crowd, eyes darting between him and Sarah, each gaze brimming with unasked questions. Time felt suspended, each second stretching out painfully as he waited for her to respond. "Sarah," he said softly, desperate to bridge the chasm that had opened between them. She turned to face him, her eyes shimmering with tears that held a mixture of betrayal and hurt. Seeing her like this twisted his insides. He could feel the panic rising, threatening to choke him. "You don't get it, do you?" She finally spoke, her voice steadier than he expected. "This isn't just about money." She gestured wildly, her breaths quickening. "It's about trust. It's about honesty. You didn't just hide your wealth from me, Jake. You hid who you are. I don't know you anymore." He felt a sharp pang in his chest at her words. The truth was, he didn't know himself at that moment either. I thought if I kept it from you, it would protect you." "Us," he stammered, stumbling over his words. I wanted to shield you from anything that could shatter this life we've built together. But you shattered it the moment you decided to lie, she shot back, her voice rising in desperation. All those dinners, those late-night talks about our future. I thought we were in this together. Jake opened his mouth, then closed it, unsure of how to salvage the wreckage. His heart raced as he caught glimpses of their friends, watching with sympathy, shifting in their seats, afraid to interrupt but clearly sharing in the weight of the moment. I should have told you, he finally admitted, his voice breaking under the strain. I should have trusted you with this. You deserved better. A faint sound escaped her lips, half a laugh, half a sob. What good is better if it's built on lies? She said, turning her gaze away, as if physically distancing herself from the pain. The silence that followed was suffocating, thickening like fog. Each person present felt it, every heartbeat resonating in their chests. A few friends exchanged worried glances, unsure of what they should do next or if they should intervene at all. Sarah, he pleaded, clutching her arm gently, trying to pull her back to him. I never wanted this to hurt you. I wanted to be the man you thought I was. I wanted our life to be real, not built on a lie. Can't you see that? She looked at him then, and for just a moment, the storm in her eyes seemed to calm. Real? She whispered. You know what would have been real? Telling me from the start. Showing me who you truly are, not just this facade you created. He felt her words cut through him like a knife, and he knew she was right. He had built a wall to protect them, but all it had done was isolate them further. I will do anything to fix this, Jake said desperately. Just tell me what I need to do. As the tears fell from Sarah's eyes, he could see the conflict swirling within her. I don't know, she whispered, breaking his heart all over again. I need time. I need to sort through the wreckage of this of us. She stepped back again, creating more distance, her silhouette seeming to grow dimmer in the soft glow of the overhead lights. Jake felt a heavy weight settling in his chest, a truth he didn't want to accept. The silence now felt like a countdown. Would he lose her? Would they even have a chance to rebuild? His heart raced as he watched Sarah turn away, her steps echoing painfully in his ears. The moment stretched, and before he knew it, the crowd erupted into quiet murmurs, their sympathy painfully palpable. What could he say to change the course of this evening? Jake stood broken, watching Sarah slip through the crowd, unable to find words that could bridge the rift he had caused. He felt a stirring in his chest, a mix of desperation and determination. Maybe this was only the beginning. But how could he ever convince her of that? As the crowd began to disperse, he knew he had to act fast. Time was slipping away. What if he didn't get a second chance? Making a decision. He sprinted after her, fear and regret fueling his every step. But as he called out her name, uncertainty lingered. Would she even turn back? Would his next words come too late? Sarah! Jake shouted, cutting through the lingering tension in the room. People turned, heads swiveled, eyes wide in curiosity. He pushed through the crowd, heart pounding, the weight of the world pressing on his shoulders. Each step he took felt like a weight escalating towards disaster. She turned, just long enough for him to see the glimmer of tears on her cheeks, a familiar sight now tainted by betrayal. For a moment, everything was still, their friend group blurred behind them, melting away into a sea of uncertainty. It was just him and her at that moment. Please, just wait, he said, desperation creeping into his voice. I need you to understand. Understand what, Jake? Sarah snapped, frustration cutting through the air between them. What is there to understand? Her fists were clenched at her sides, trembling slightly. He could see the internal battle raging within her. He steadied himself, trying to pull together his scattered thoughts. I'm sorry for hiding this part of my life from you. You deserve the truth, and I've given you nothing but shadows and lies. Lies created your shadows. She fired back, crossing her arms tightly over her chest, as if that could shield her from the heartbreak dissolving their once solid bond. Jake continued, striving to show her he meant every word. I thought I was protecting you. That maybe if you didn't know, you wouldn't see me differently. I wanted this life with you so badly. Sarah shook her head, cutting him off. No, Jake. You wanted a fantasy. You wanted to connect without letting me in. It feels like I was just a part of your made-up story. He felt the steel wall she was building. Each of her words was another brick, and he could sense the distance widening. Panic roared in his chest. You're wrong. Am I? You're the one who chose what I could know. That's not love, Jake, and that's not trust. So why should I even listen to you now? Jake's throat tightened. Because I can change. I want to show you who I really am, the good and the bad. Just give me a chance. There was hesitation in her eyes. He could see the flicker of hope warring against the storm of hurt. You think this can just magically make things okay? She asked quietly, the sharp edge of anger softening, if only slightly. It won't be easy, but I promise to fight for us. I don't want to lose you. Not now, not ever. Sarah's expression went from defensive to contemplative, the tug of emotions clear on her face. You're asking for forgiveness, but how do I know your intentions are pure? How can I trust again? I can't give you a quick fix, Jake admitted. But I'll be here. I'll prove to you that there's more to me. I've been built on foundations of deceit, but I'm ready to start rebuilding. For a fleeting moment, their eyes locked. Something there, a shared memory, a hint of what had been before, passed like an electric current. But reality quickly sank its teeth back in, and he could see her shutting down again. I need space to think. I need time to figure this out. Her voice was small, trembling under the weight of their exchange. Okay, he said slowly, realizing the truth of her words. I can give you that if that's what you need. But please, just don't disappear. Promise me. A single tear slipped down her cheek, and to his dismay, she turned and walked away, the space between them echoing with the hurt they had shared. Each step she took felt like another piece of his heart slipping away. Jake stood in the middle of the room, the murmurs of their friends washing over him like a tide of sympathy and confusion. He felt lost in a landscape he once thought he understood completely. How could he fix something he had broken with one reckless decision? As the last traces of Sarah faded from view, he clenched his fists, resolved. There had to be a way to reach her. He would search for it. Somehow, he would break through the walls of hurt he had built. But would she let him? The thought echoed in his mind. Determined, he turned towards the door. I won't give up, he whispered to himself, barely hearing the reply from the depths of his heart. The journey ahead felt daunting, but if he could show her his true self, the flawed, wealthy, and yet honest man behind the facade, could it be enough? And would she still want him once the dust had settled? As he stepped outside, a cold wind rustled past, a whisper of uncertainty and hope. But deep down, he believed he could still reach her if only she would let him in once more. Where would this mission take Jake next? Could a lost love ever find its way back? Jake stepped into the chilly evening air, sputtering out breaths that formed small clouds in front of him. The noise of the party faded behind him, replaced by the homely hum of the city streets. He felt a mix of determination and fear. Each pulse in his chest echoed Sarah's name, a reminder that every moment spent apart felt like an eternity. He had to find her. Finding her would mean confronting the very essence of the life he had shielded from her: his wealth, the job that isolated him from true connection, and the deceit that stemmed from a desperate need to be loved. But how would he even start? He didn't have a plan, just an aching heart and a desire to make things right. Turning down a quiet street, Jake's mind raced. His phone felt heavy in his pocket, weighing him down as he pulled it out to check. No messages, no missed calls. Would Sarah even want to hear from him? He swiped to her contact, hesitating for a moment, his finger hovering over the call button. What could he say? "Hey, it's me. I'm sorry for lying about my whole life." Even the thought of it made him cringe. A nearby cafe caught his eye, its warm light spilling onto the sidewalk. He stepped inside, seeking comfort in the familiar smell of coffee that once brought them joy together. He ordered a cup, his hands shaking slightly as he reached for his wallet. The waitress offered him a kind smile, but he could barely muster a response. With each slow sip of the hot beverage, he pondered their shared moments, those little things that formed the fabric of their bond, flashes of laughter, stolen kisses, late-night talks emerged unbidden. All of it seemed so trivial now, like a cruel echo of what once was. He couldn't help but wonder if he'd lost not just her trust, but a part of himself. He wasn't just the man behind the wealth, he was the dreams they built together, the love they promised each other. As he sat there lost in thought, a familiar song played softly in the cafe, drawing a smile from his lips, bittersweet and heavy. He remembered dancing with Sarah in their living room, their hearts sinking, the world outside forgotten. It was those moments that he needed to channel now. Jake leaned back in his chair, a new resolve igniting within him. He would give her the space she needed, but he wouldn't wait around idly. He would prove himself. He needed a plan, one that would show her he wasn't just the shadow she thought he was. It would take time, effort, and perhaps some public humility, but he was willing to work for it. Determined, he left the cafe. A chill brushed against him again, but there was warmth beneath his skin, a budding fire of hope. Some things could not be fixed overnight, he knew. But he also understood that real love required courage and vulnerability. Would she even want to see this new willingness to be seen? As he walked back towards the crowd, ready to start reshaping his life, a thought suddenly crossed his mind. What if Sarah had already begun to move on? Would he be too late to reclaim their love? With that daunting thought, his heart thudded. He stepped forward, anxious and hopeful. He had to believe it wasn't over yet. Would she let him show her he was still the man she fell in love with? And if he wasn't careful, could this journey lead him to uncover even deeper secrets about himself and her? The night held many questions, but Jake was resolved to uncover the answers, no matter how hard or painful it might be. What awaited him around the corner could either bring him closure or a surprising new beginning. The streets felt alive around him, flickering lights casting long shadows as he walked with quickened steps. Jake's breath came heavy, mixing with the autumn air that smelled of damp leaves and promise. He needed to find a way to reach her. Grasping a sense of urgency, he took out his phone again, the screen illuminated with Sarah's contact picture, her smiling face, the one that had eased his burdens and made every worry feel small. But would she still smile if she saw him now? With his heart pounding, Jake decided to approach the little park they used to love. He remembered the way they would sit on a bench, sipping coffee and watching the world go by, lost in their own little bubble. Maybe she was there. Maybe she needed to clear her head, just like he did. As he rounded the corner, the park came into view, glowing under the soft light of street lamps. The familiar sights tugged at his heartstrings: children running through the grass, couples sharing whispers, and benches half filled with warm souls. Josh's footsteps slowed, a whirlwind of emotions crashing over him. What if she was happy without him? What if this was it? He stepped into the park, almost tiptoeing as dread surged through him, each beat of his heart matching the rhythm of his uncertainty. Then he saw her. Sarah was sitting on their favorite bench, staring into the distance. The wind played with her hair, and the city lights danced against the backdrop of the night. Jake's stomach dropped, and every breath felt shallow. He considered turning back, that maybe it was better to leave things be. But a fierce longing gripped him, pushing his feet forward. As he drew closer, he noted the way her lips turned down slightly, a subtle sign of her discomfort. Each step was intentional, as if echoing his resolve to mend what lay broken between them. "Sarah?" he called, his voice shaky yet steady. She looked up, her eyes wide with surprise and a flicker of something unnameable. Disappointment? Relief? They locked eyes for a moment that stretched like an eternity, words crowding Jake's throat, hopeful yet fearful. "Jake. I didn't expect to see you here." Her tone was cautious, but beneath it vibrated a current of warmth that hadn't been extinguished completely. I wanted to talk. I know I messed up." The weight of his admission fell into the space between them, curling around them like thick smoke. He never intended to hurt her, but his choices had built an unbridgeable distance. Her expression shifted slightly, confusion mingling with a hint of interest. "You think talking will change anything?" He took a deep breath, feeling like he was standing on the edge of a cliff. "I don't want to lose you. I need you to know that I'm ready to be honest about everything." The truth burned in him, coiling fiercely. "I want to show you I can be the man you deserve." As the words floated gently out, Sarah's gaze hardened momentarily as if weighing his sincerity against past memories. A quiet moment passed where the world around them blurred, leaving only the two of them suspended in a delicate standoff. "What if I can't believe you?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if I don't want to go back to what we had?" Jake's heart thudded like a drum in his chest. This was his moment, raw and open. "I'll do whatever it takes to show you that doesn't have to be the case. I am ready to work hard to be someone worthy of your trust." As the weight of his conviction hung in the air, uncertainty loomed overhead like storm clouds, but a flicker of hope lingered between them. Would she be willing to listen? Just then, the sound of laughter erupted from the park's playground, breaking their intense moment. It reminded Jake of joyful days, the essence they shared, all wrapped in innocence and love. Perhaps their laughter could echo once more. With a newfound sense of urgency, Jake leaned forward, ready to reveal the depths of his heart. But just as he opened his mouth to speak, a familiar figure appeared in the distance, and all warmth seemed to drain from the moment. It was someone from his past, someone who could change everything. Jake's heart raced. What would happen now? Would this ruin everything he was trying to build? Jake's breath caught in his throat as he squinted through the dim light. The figure moved closer, and recognition struck him like a hard blow. It was Lily, his ex-girlfriend, her presence casting a shadow over the fragile moment he'd just shared with Sarah. She was just as stunning as he remembered, her long hair cascading over her shoulders, her bright red jacket vibrant against the night. Panic bubbled up within him. What was she doing here? He briefly debated whether to turn and flee, to leave Sarah and the weight of their unresolved emotions for another day. But even as that thought crossed his mind, he felt Sarah's eyes on him, searching for an explanation. "Jake?" Her voice, laden with confusion, pulled him back to reality. "Do you know her?" He wanted to deny it, to sweep this entire encounter under the rug. It's complicated," he managed, feeling each word draw a line in the sand between him and Sarah. Lily stepped closer, an uninvited guest at what felt like a reunion. "Wow, Jake, fancy meeting you here. I thought you moved away." Her smile was bright, but Jake could see a hint of something else lurking beneath it. Was it jealousy? "Not quite," Jake replied awkwardly, heat creeping up his neck. He could feel Sarah's tension tightening like a coil beside him. "We were just talking," Sarah finished for him, her voice steady, though he could sense the sting in her tone. A flicker of doubt crossed Sarah's face as she met Lily's calculating gaze. Jake immediately shifted his weight, ready to form an explanation, but the words eluded him. The air felt heavy, thick with unspoken truths and the ghost of his past. Lily's brow raised as she crossed her arms, her interest piqued. "Oh, I see. This is serious then?" "Actually, it is," Jake said, trying to muster the strength to defend their fragile moment. He turned to Sarah, his expression pleading. "We were just talking about how I messed up and want to make things right," Jake finally admitted, glancing back at Sarah, inviting her to back him up. But her eyes were stuck on Lily, fear and confusion swirling behind them. Lily let out a soft laugh, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Really, Jake? After everything? What's left to fix? Before Jake could respond, Sarah interjected, her voice rising above the tension. What do you want, Lily? Why are you here? Just checking in. You know me, always curious about the past, Lily replied, her tone light but sharp. But clearly, the past hasn't gone far. It's right here, in this park. Jake felt a pang of resentment at Lily's dismissal of everything he'd shared with Sarah moments before. They were trying to peel back layers, to begin rebuilding trust. But here was Lily, with her smile and memories, pulling them back into the shadows of doubt. Please, Jake said, his voice thick with urgency. I'm trying to move on, and I don't want to leave things like this. I came here for a reason. Is that true? Sarah's gaze bore into him, searching for honesty in his stormy sea of anxieties. Did you really come here to fix things, or was it just a coincidence? In that moment, Jake realized the truth of what Lily's appearance meant. It wasn't just about him, it was about what would happen next. The path to redemption wasn't going to be an easy one. Sarah's unwavering trust now hung in the balance, and he had to decide if he would confront his past or let it consume him. Lily stepped closer again, the air thickening with unspoken challenges. Jake, you know we had something special. Are you really ready to throw all of that away? As the weight of her question hung in the cool night air, Jake could feel his heart racing. He had to choose. But as he opened his mouth to respond, another laughter echoed from the playground, drawing both Sarah's and Jake's attention. It was small kids, full of joy and innocence, blissfully unaware of the chaos brewing just outside their world, torn between the clutches of nostalgia and the promise of a new beginning. Jake faced Sarah, hoping to find clarity in her eyes. The moment felt electric, ripe with unspoken desires and fears. Would she give him the chance he desperately needed? As Sarah opened her mouth, ready to speak, the night suddenly grew darker, the streetlights flickering ominously, as though bracing for what lay ahead. What would she say? Would this change everything? Sarah's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. She was struggling to find the right words, and Jake felt the intense weight of silence pressing down on them. His heart raced as he searched her face for a hint of what she might say, but all he could read was confusion. Jake, she finally breathed out, her eyes searching his. You need to tell me what you're really feeling. I can't just stand here and wonder about what she means to you. The last thing I want is a shadow hanging over us. Her voice trembled just slightly, but her resolve was clear. Before he could answer, Lily interrupted with a smirk, tilting her head to one side. Come on, Sarah. You can't be this naive. He and I have a history. It's not easy to just erase the past, is it, Jake? A wave of frustration surged within him. He had spent far too long trying to shake the past. This isn't about you, Lily. This is about taking a step forward, giving Sarah a chance to understand me better. His hands clenched by his sides, and he felt the tension in the air shift toward anger. Is it, though? Lily challenged, her expression cool and analytical. Are you really ready to face everything that comes with leaving me behind? You can't pretend that you're not still holding on to some of that. As their eyes locked, Jake could feel the old emotions. Memories of laughter and arguments bubbled to the surface, reaffirming their connection. But standing next to Sarah, the warm glow of hope emanating from her as if she was a lighthouse piercing through the fog, he understood he couldn't turn back. Lily, I'm done living in the past. Jake's voice rose, fueled by a desperate intensity. I need to be honest about everything, not just what's comfortable. I care about Sarah. I need you to understand that. Sarah took a small step toward him, her eyes not wavering from his. Then tell me, Jake. What are you afraid of? What do you feel? She seemed to radiate a quiet strength that begged for transparency. The sharpness of Lily's breath cut through him, but he forced himself to focus on Sarah. I'm scared of losing you, he admitted, his voice raw and unpolished. I think we could have something real, something I never appreciated before. I want to fix what I broke. But I can't do it if my past keeps knocking on the door. I need to know what you want. Lily huffed, crossing her arms tighter. You think it's that easy? Just move on from all we had? It doesn't work like that, Jake. But just then, a child's giggle echoed through the park again, radiating innocent joy. It reminded Jake of the simplicity life could offer and how it was fleeting. Maybe it doesn't, he replied softly, more to himself. But I'm willing to try, Sarah. For you. The words hung in the air, heavy with gravity. He could see the turmoil swirl behind her eyes, so much uncertainty, but he sensed something else too. A flicker of hope. Jake, she began cautiously, but Lily interjected with renewed energy, her voice sharp. Right. Let us not forget about the feelings left behind, the unfinished business. You need to decide which life you want. It isn't fair to either of us for you to waver. For the first time, fear flashed across Sarah's face, a brief glimpse of her doubt, almost as if she was questioning if Jake was capable of making a decision that would affect all of them. And then, in the flickering streetlight, something shifted. The shadows against the backdrop of uncertainty suddenly felt more than just haunting, they felt like whispers of untold stories waiting to unfold. Lily's right, Jake said, stepping back slightly, both of them feeling a shared tension. I have to choose, and so do you, Sarah. This is about us, all of us. He could see Sarah's breath hitch, a myriad of emotions crossing her face as he awaited her response. The air hung heavy with anticipation, as if the very universe paused in that moment. Could he truly claim the future he yearned for, or would the past seep in and crush those dreams? With one last lingering look at Lily, Jake felt the bravado slip away. What if he was wrong? What if this decision held the key to a future full of promises, or maybe it would shatter everything he hoped for? As Sarah squared her shoulders, he knew what happened next would change everything. What would her answer be? How far was she willing to go with him? Jake stood frozen, heart racing as the distance between him and Sarah pulsed with anticipation. The weight of choices hung thick in the air, while Lily's presence served as an unsettling reminder of the unresolved feelings from the past. He could feel the tension between the three of them, the unspoken words brimming with emotional intensity. Sarah's voice trembled, struggling for calmness, yet uncertainty danced in her eyes. You want to fix things, but do you know what that truly means? What do you want? His pulse quickened. Did he truly know what he wanted? He thought of the life they'd built together, of the laughter and warmth, and of the secrets now spilling like a broken dam. I want to be honest, he declared, feeling the conviction rise in his voice. I want to show you everything, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Lily scoffed, her stance defensive. That's vague, Jake. Honesty is more than just words, it takes action. Are you really willing to do whatever it takes? Jake turned his gaze firmly to Sarah. I am. I know I've hurt you, and I understand if you're angry. But I also know that building trust takes time. I'll do the work, and I won't shy away from what I did. He felt his chest tight, and his voice grew grounded. I chose to hide my wealth because I was terrified it would change everything, but by running away from it, I hurt you in ways I never intended. As he spoke, the warmth of the moment flickered like the streetlights around them, illuminating their surroundings and the shadows of the past that lingered. Sarah seemed lost in thought, processing his words against the backdrop of her feelings. Jake took a careful step closer. I want our relationship to be real. I want to share my life completely. Can you give me that chance? Silence engulfed them. Jake could sense the storm brewing within Sarah. Finally, she inhaled deeply, steadying herself. I want that too, Jake. But trust is not just given, it's earned. Then let me earn it, Jake responded, hope igniting in his chest. Not just with words, but with actions. I'll face everything, logistically and emotionally. No more shadows. He turned to Lily, resolving to draw a line. And as for you, Lily, I wish you the best. But the past is the past. Lily squared her shoulders, and for a fleeting moment, the warmth of nostalgia flickered behind her eyes. You really think it'll be that easy? She challenged, a hint of defiance in her tone. It isn't easy, Jake replied, the gravity of the night compressing his resolve. But I'm ready to face the hardships, to be a better man, to show Sarah who I really am. I've waited too long to let my mistakes define me. Echoes of laughter from the playground cut through the charged atmosphere, reminding them of the joyous simplicity of life. Jake looked back at Sarah. Life is too short to hide or be anything but real. Finally, the tension seeped from Sarah. She nodded, tiny at first, then with growing confidence. Okay, Jake. I'm willing to try. But we need to take it slow. It was a start, the dawn of hope flickering through her eyes. Each word, each exchange, peeled back the layers that had built a thick wall between them. Thank you, he breathed, relief flooding over him as he recognized the transformation in the room. Slow is what we need. I'll do whatever it takes. Lily's presence remained heavy, casting an undeniable shadow, but Jake felt the warmth of connection swell between him and Sarah. Can we talk more tomorrow? She asked tentatively, her gaze lowering momentarily. Yes, tomorrow and every day after, he promised, unable to tear his eyes away from her. As they turned to leave, Lily spoke once more, vulnerability seeping into her tone. I wish both of you well. I really do. Jake nodded at her, genuinely sincere. Thank you, he said, knowing he was going to face the consequences of his choices head-on. With every step toward home, it felt like the distance between him and Sarah shrank. Though the path ahead would not be straightforward or free from challenges, he felt hope blossoming within him, a light eager to spread through the cracks left by the past. Tomorrow is a new start, he whispered to Sarah under the glow of streetlights, their hands brushing against each other. Together. Together, she replied, and in that moment, Jake knew they could navigate the future empty-handed, yes, but open to possibilities. As they walked side by side, Jake felt weight lift, uncertainty still looming but hope shining stronger than ever. He had taken the first step toward honesty, and it felt like a burden had been lifted, replaced by a shared promise of healing and understanding. With the possibility of transforming their relationship, he turned to face the future, ready to embrace the journey ahead, no matter how complicated it may become. Remember to embrace your own journeys, and if you love this story, you need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive tales that will inspire and uplift you. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and help the stories thrive. Don't forget to comment below with your thoughts and emotions about this incredible transformation. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this journey of love and redemption. Your support matters, and only true fans understand its importance. Don't wait not even one more second to make your mark.